Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today on this webinar. We really appreciate you taking the time to spend an hour, and I can guarantee that you're going to learn some really good things. My name is Suzanne Barnett, and I run the company called Sapphire Blue Training. I actually would like to go through a few domestics with you first, if you don't mind. There's a lot of you that I expect have already been on webinars, but I'll just give you some tips to make it a really pleasant experience for you. First of all, can I ask with respect that you switch off your phones or put them on silent so that you're not distracted by them. And also to ensure that you get a good quality of webinar coming through, if you close down any of the applications that you're not really using, then that actually makes sure that you get a good quality of sound and a good quality of picture, something which we cannot be control of at your end. So it just makes it much nicer for you so that you can actually take notice of exactly what's going on. Just to help you as well, we want this webinar to be very interactive. So from time to time, we're going to ask you some questions. And those questions might be just a case of you raising your hand. So to let you all know that you have a hand button on your screen, and all you have to do is click on the hand button, and you'll be able to indicate that you are answering that question. So as a test, first of all, can everybody hear me? So just click on your hand button. Yay, seeing some hands coming up. Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Nice to see you on the webinar. Fab. Peter, thank you. Or Petter, thank you. Kim, that's great. Someone's just gone offline. Oh, she's come back in. Good, 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 good. People will start coming in as we continue with the webinar. So that's great. You can all hear me. So that's a good start to the webinar. So is your social media efforts working? Are you spending too much time in the wrong place? Do you have to do it all? And there's never enough time in the day. So I guarantee that you'll discover the 4 secret keys to your social media efforts for desirable results. So let me give you a bit of intro. My name is Suzanne Barnett, and as I say, I run a company called Sapphire Blue Training. I've actually been in business for 25 years now. There we are, showing my age. But I started, I know, I started business running an IT training company, and it was before the days of social media. It was actually in the days of very static websites, and there certainly wasn't anything like Facebook, and if there was, it was just for the kids to do their sort of dating and things like this. So I'm an adult educator. I educate people in IT, but now specifically I provide marketing and training on how business owners can generate qualified leads, collaborate with others, leverage their time and provide value to their clients and create products all through the use of webinars, which actually leads me nicely on to my guest today, because some of the webinars that I do, I like to bring guests in, and I'm really, really delighted to bring Meredith in for this webinar. So do you want to quickly say hi, and then I'm going to give everyone a brief overview of who you are and why you're here.
Thanks, Suzanne. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here and on time. I'm really looking forward to sharing some great tips and hints with you today.
Fabulous. Now, Meredith and I, we've only just recently met, and I was really delighted to meet her because I was blown away by her expertise in social media specifically, and I really loved Meredith's approach to social media. I've been involved in social media in sort of some kind of role or another, particularly, you know, doing social media a lot. And one of the things that I found is that there is a lot of time that you spend, and I just love your approach, Meredith, that you don't have to be all things to all people, and that was kind of a relief to me. And it's a case of finding the best platforms for your business and your audience. When I found out about a course that Meredith runs, the Social Media Mastery in 120 Days, I thought this is just perfect for business owners, and I wanted to introduce that to my audience. So Meredith has got a vast experience in the corporate world. She's done adult education and training herself. Meredith is well placed to support business to position themselves in and utilize the social mediums as part of their marketing plan for business profits, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. She is an entertaining speaker, and I witnessed that last night at an event. It was brilliant. And presenter, she helps executives, their staff and business owners unravel and unlock the power of social media. Meredith recognises that social media can be confusing. Oh, isn't it just? And video social marketing was established in early 2009 to support effective social media implementation. So Meredith's specialities include developing strategic, measurable outcomes around social media and tying those KPIs and internal benchmarks into an enterprise's marketing activity. And I think that's key. You know, you've got to measure what you're doing. Otherwise, you really don't know whether it's any good at all. So that's enough from me. And I'm going to now pass over to Meredith so she can get on and tell you exactly what you've come here to listen. So I'm just going to swap over my screen first.
Oh, this is where we do that technical handover, Suzanne, and hopefully I get it right.
Oh, you'll get it fine. There you go. I've handed it over to you, so you should just be able to click on it.
Are we seeing the right? Are we seeing the right thing now?
We certainly are.
Oh, that's good. That's good. No, you need never be intimidated by my lack of technical ability, people. I promise you. So there's I'm very good at social media, but technicality I'm not so good at. So, Suzanne, thanks so much for that warm and generous introduction. And today my aim really is to give you some really key foundational knowledge so that you can either spring forward more positively or with a different mindset around your social media, or have really great conversations with your service provider if you're choosing to get outside help. And I think that my philosophy for around social media is usually that social media cannot be totally outsourced, that there absolutely has to be ownership from within the business, because social media is about currency and it's about relationships. And just like we don't outsource the relationship of our marriage or our relationship with our children, we hope, you've got to maintain those relationships. So there's got to be an ownership within the business as well. But let's forge ahead and really start to get into the nuts and bolts. You know, it's Google actually, and we'll bring up this little stat, Google actually has told us that only 6% of people who are using a Google search ever look beyond page 1 for results. And that's because Google's taught us how to search. So in years gone by, if we were looking for, you know, a leather lounge, we would type in leather lounge and all the people that had leather lounges would pop up on our screen. But that's just way too broad, and Google has, because of all those broad search results that we get, Google has now taught us that if we want a leather lounge in Mossman or a leather lounge in Campbelltown or in Cronulla, we actually need to type in leather lounge Campbelltown or leather lounge Mossman, so that we narrow down our search results. And that's why people don't go beyond the first page, because they just refine that search. So if you're not showing up on the front page, and I know, and that's a really harsh reality, and it's something that's not easy to do, then you're probably not getting a lot of organic traffic. And I'm going to be, it's like I'm standing on the scales at Weight Watchers here for everybody to see my weight. I am going through this same process in my business as well. My social media is really working well. It's firing quite well, but you know what? My website's a bit broke. The keywords, you know, we're really working on keywords and search acquisition, and we're going to go into that in more detail. So be aware that these are all very specialised areas, and we need to pull people in. And you know, a year ago it was working really, really well for me and in my business, and now it's time to re-look at the strategy, because just like social media is constantly changing, so is Google. So don't feel disheartened. We've just got to keep across what we can do and go with it. So, and we're going to look at some of those strategies, and I know that for me those strategies are working because I'm living it just like you guys are. I'm living it now too. And I think it's important to say that social media is absolutely not a new concept. The channels might be new, but the philosophy isn't. People want to be connected, and they're really happy to be connected online, as is demonstrated by platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn. But what does this really mean? It means that your business is no longer governed purely by geography, and it means that we're not purely word of mouth, as in people actually speaking face-to-face doesn't govern our marketing either. So word-of-mouth marketing online has become very powerful, and we'll delve into that a little bit more too. So just in terms of where I've come from, and actually I believe I have got a former TAFE colleague online with me today, and she's one of the ones that I used to feel knew so much more than me and was so much more technical than me, because I became an e-learning mentor, and I was part of the Flexible Leaders Forum at TAFE when TAFE was really starting to delve into how we could deliver content, not just face-to-face but online, because back in those days, quite literally, the internet had been the domain of the military, education, and of course the adult entertainment industry. So, you know, we weren't going there at TAFE, we had lots of block sites, but the internet was really quite a new phenomenon. And I became quite intrigued by what could happen online, because it was quite interesting. And I tell you, all those little geek people at TAFE were really very interesting. I'd turn up there in my nice high heels and my handbag, and I remember Stefan used to turn up and he'd be in his Levi's, and he was all very socialist. It was fantastic, but they were doing some really interesting stuff with podcasting and with mobile phones when they were just little Nokia 3210s. And what I actually used to feel quite disconnected in that I didn't really understand what they were talking about, but I used to love the environment. And what I started to see was that there was a whole lot of discussion that would go on in those forums, but what the teachers needed to know at the coalface was very different. They needed to have practical, applied application for these technologies. And so what I became really good at was taking the concepts that all these amazing, creative, geeky people would talk about, and then take it back to the coalface and make it really simple for teachers. And so what I started to begin to realise was that technology wasn't necessarily about a new level of nerdiness, it was actually about a new level of connectedness. And I started to see that filtering through classrooms. We had a student who travelled overseas, and they wanted to continue with their coursework, so she set up a blog, and the blog enabled her to continue to do the course at distance, and she communicated with us that way. And so I think that that's probably the skill that I bring into video social marketing and for clients right now, that I'm able to just gather the information from the technical people, the cutting edge people, and bring it back and keep it real, and only give you the information you need to know as business owners. So it's a new level of connectedness, and I think that nobody would deny that, the world's a changing place. And I think that one of the other aspects that really came true for me when I was certainly working at TAFE and started up video social marketing, because I started video social marketing on a wing and a prayer to have more time, more money, and more flexibility, and really I should have stayed working at TAFE if that's what I wanted in the first instance. But what I came to realise was how important it is to play to our strengths. And for a lot of business owners, social media just isn't a natural strength for them. So I'd just love to see a show of hands. You've practiced with the hands. How many of you have to do stuff in your business that doesn't feel like fun or doesn't feel like you're in flow, that running the business takes you away from what you really love to do? So if we could just have a show of hands, that'd be terrific.
Right, there's lots of hands coming up there, Meredith, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, loads of us are like it, aren't we? We end up doing stuff that just really doesn't suit us very well at all. So we've got lots of hands coming up here. I would say probably now about 50%. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty.
Absolutely, because I think that, and you're right, you know, maybe you're really creative and you have to do the accounts, or maybe you just love the back office processing but you have to go out and network. And for me, I just love people. And for me to be stuck in the back office, you know, cabin fever becomes really a big issue for me. So what I came to realise was that when we don't work to our strengths for any kind of period of time, we can become undone. And I can attest to that. I had a little spiritual awakening last year where I had to step back from the business for quite some time because really I fell off the perch. I was tired. So over the years, I've managed to evolve and improve my business model, but with that, that came to fruition. I came to understand that because of this strengths profiling, and actually all our clients go through a strengths profiling process before I work with them, because I need to know what your strengths are, what you're really good at, what you're passionate about. And if you can't outsource your social media, we need to actually work out how do we build a social media strategy that works for you. So I've actually become both an accredited flow consultant and an accredited performance consultant, so I can work with organisations. Because given that most SMEs have to multitask, it just allows me to help you create better strategies. So do not underestimate how playing away from your strengths actually impacts both the value and the leverage you have in your business, as well as and ultimately your profitability, because we get tired. So that's just a little aside. But you know, we've changed.
Can I just say there, Meredith, sorry, I was just going to say that, you know, Meredith did this talent dynamics test with me, and having found out exactly where I should be in my flow, it's almost given me permission to be doing the things that I really love to be doing. So it's really worth talking to Meredith about having this test. And I also want to say that you do have the opportunity to ask any questions or leave any comments. There's a question box. So, you know, whilst Meredith is going through her presentation, please ask the questions, and we will get to answering those as well towards the end. And we've got a wonderful gift for you at the end as well.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Suzanne. And yeah, and you know what, me too, when I did my strengths profile, it made me realise why I was so bad at accounts. So it does give us permission to change the way that we work, and for me, partnering with people is a great way to work, because I'm really good up front and I need that back office support and that creative support. So it's really well worth having a look at. You know, life has absolutely got faster and faster, and traditional, oops, that wasn't what I wanted to show you. Where have we? There we go. So traditionalists, which for us, many of us would be our parents or grandparents, you know, they used to send letters, and telegrams were sent for anything urgent, and telephones were the domain of the wealthy or the special. You know, our baby boomers saw television, telephones into most households, and life was beginning to get much faster. You know, we even had telexes. Now Gen X, which is me, and I know that there'll be quite a few of you online that are Gen X, we're very slick indeed. We actually had faxes taking over from couriers for anything urgent. So we're not, but I know that when I was a kid, all but everyone had a telephone, but there were rules around using it. There was lots of etiquette. You can't ring past 8 p.m. You have to carry 10 cents in your pocket for emergency phone calls. You know, it's not that long ago. And funnily, oops. Oh, yeah, I'm trigger happy, Suzanne. I'm trigger happy.
Yeah, get that finger off that mouse button.
Yeah. So Bill Gates once said that if you want a job simplified and made easier, give it to the laziest person in the office, because they'll find the solutions. So you can see here that the people that are responsible for all these crazy changes and how fast life is moving now is those dang little Gen Ys. So it's they've changed everything. They've changed the way we connect. They've changed the way we've used technology. And I know that older generations bemoan how lazy, and I use that loosely, they are. But I tell you what, they are incredibly innovative. They're so innovative that they're finding simpler, faster ways to do stuff, all sorts of stuff with technology. And they're driving social change as well as technological change. So Gen Y will be responsible for jobs in 5 years' time that we haven't even heard of yet. And it's up to other generations, it's up to us to catch up. So probably the most important, Gen Y's taught us how to shop differently, research differently, and access word-of-mouth marketing differently. And this is what successful businesses know and have caught on to. So let's have a bit more of a look at that. We said we'd reveal some of the secrets that successful businesses know, and we're missing our social media. So successful businesses know that social media, for most businesses, is not a magic bullet. I bet you didn't think you'd hear that here today. But it is an integral part of a marketing wheel, and it's a very necessary part of a digital presence. And Laurel Langmeyer, who calls herself the Millionaire Maker and was a personal mentor of mine for some time, she once said to me that a business should have 16 pillars to marketing. Now, for most SMEs, that is absolutely excessive. But I guess the point is that we need to have a wide presence, and that a business cannot be built on one form of marketing only, that several piers are needed for sustainability and longevity. So, which brings us to the 5 pillars of digital, and this is about getting Google working for you. You know, I used to really hope and pray and wish that if I did a little bit of what successful people told me to do and that I was nice, that would absolutely be enough to really drive my business. And, you know, it wasn't. Just quite bluntly, it wasn't. And it took me a long time to come to terms with the fact that what I had to do to build the pillars of a successful business. Now, in a digital sense, longevity comes from tapping into the 5 pillars of digital. And they are your website. And as I said to you, my website, I've got somebody looking at my website at the moment, really overhauling it, analysing where traffic's coming in, what's happening, because for most small businesses, your website is your shop front these days. The next one is social and video. Now, you do not have to be in every social medium known to man. You do not. Pick 1 or 2 and do them really well, and that will give you the presence that you're after. The next one that we're looking at, the next pillar of digital, is mobile and apps. You absolutely need to have your website mobile enabled. And do you need an app? I have had clients that have gone off and spent $10,000 on an app to have it downloaded 92 times. Now, that may or may not be a sensible business proposition. You've got to make that decision. But you need to be considering, is our business a business that needs to have an app? The next thing is SEO and SEM, so that's search engine optimization and search engine marketing, which is pay per click, and we'll talk about each of these as we go forward. And the last thing is metrics. So I'd really like to run a poll with you now. That's what our little question mark's about. Who's using all of the 5 pillars of digital marketing? Or do I need to do something, Suzanne? Are you in charge?
No, I've got it. It's what we've done is we've put a poll up on the screen for you, and if you could just click one of those options, then we get the results through, and I can feed that back to you. So I just need a few more of you to click. Let's see. All right, 60% of you are clicking. Nearly there. A few more seconds. 80% of you have clicked. Okay, so just a couple more seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much indeed. And the result here is that 5% of you don't have any, nothing at all. 45% of you have 1 to 2 of those pillars of digital, and 50% of you have 3 to 5. So thank you very much for your input there.
Okay, so the 50% of you that have 3 to 5, what I'd ask you is that actually really paying dividends for your business? Are you measuring it? What are you receiving back? That would be my first question. And I ask that not from being the devil's advocate, but I'm really curious because that's much higher than I'd expect. So congratulations to you, particularly if it's working for you. For the other 50% that have nothing or have 1 to 2, I've walked in your shoes. I know where you're standing, and it can be overwhelming to know how to move forward. And you know what? But you can chip on it, chip away, and move forward. And we're going to look at some of the things that you can do. So, as I said, I really want you to get some real takeaways here to think about what are your next steps for digital. We'll move right on past that. Okay. So successful businesses online also know that in today's connection economy, and we are in a connection economy online, and you know what, it's not going away, it's only going to get bigger. Consistency and commitment are critical. To be able to create a conversation of some description is important. That we want to create a community around our business or our brand, and sometimes you're the brand and sometimes your products and services are the brand. But to do all of those things, to create community, conversation, consistency and commitment, you need content, but within that content there has got to be real treasure, or content and treasure, you know, and webinars are something. I used to run webinars quite some time ago. It was providence that I've met Suzanne, because webinars are a great way to provide content and every business can use them. And I actually sat down and thought about that. And so whether it's about actually promoting products and services, or educating your market, or doing product launches, every business can use webinars, and that's a great way to create content. You can create content through what they call curating other people's content, so reading other people's content, or attending seminars and webinars, and actually writing articles or giving people tips and tricks. There's lots and lots of ways that you can offer value to your market, but you also need to know who you're talking to. You absolutely need to know who is your target market. And if you know your target market, it becomes much easier to work out what they want to know. And that's not always an easy thing to drill down to. I have lots of people say, oh, no, anyone's my market. But I always think that that's a real spray and pray approach. When you say that anyone's your market, there are very few businesses that can truly say they service every single person in the world. So one of the things that I really encourage people to do is get very clear on the target market. And actually Jen Harwood, it's just popped into my head, Jen Harwood, she's very, very good at drilling down into who your target market is, and she always says that usually you've got four lots of people that you talk to. So that's yeah, that's something to keep in mind, and I can certainly put you in touch with Jen as we go forward if you feel you haven't nailed your target market. So what Google wants. This is always interesting. I'm just going to bring up the slide. There's 4 things that Google look for in a website, and the first one is authority. And authority is about who links back to your website. And so if your website's sitting up the top there where your business solutions for everything, well, we know that you know it's business solution for everything, but we know that's your website sitting up the top. That when we talk about authority, it's about who creates links back into your website, who shares your content and your sites, your social media sites. And authority is very much about trust and how you're deemed or seen in the marketplace. And if people trust you, they will link to your content. And one of the things that we do in Social Media Mastery is we run marketing graders over your website to actually determine where your backlinks are coming from and how many you've got. So that's something to really keep in mind. Who's linking back to you? And social media can create backlinks for you, because people if you put a blog onto Facebook or LinkedIn, for instance, and people start to share your content, that creates a backlink to your site. The second thing is relevance. Google look for relevance in a website. So how well your content answers search queries, how well your content's optimized with keywords, how often your site is updated. So blogs become really critical for keeping your site updated, how your keywords are used, and how long people actually stay in your website. So if people come onto your website and they're off again in 7 or 10 seconds, it means that you're not very relevant. Your website has not answered the search queries that people have. However, if they stay there for a long time and they click and flick through the website, which brings us to the third point, usability or stickiness, it means that you're relevant. So in terms of usability or stickiness, this is largely about your site architecture and how people travel through the site. So this is what I'm looking at the moment in my own website. Does it allow people to track through? Do they stay on the site for a long time? Do they get stuck in your site? You know, and things like, have your files been really well named? So do you have PDFs or images on your site that have names rather than numbers? Google cannot read numbers, and neither can people. They want to actually see, so a PDF, for instance, shouldn't be PDF 123, it should be PDF social media strategy document, if that makes sense. So it's about usability and how well people can access your site and track through it. The last thing that Google looks for is what we call social connectivity, and how well you're connected and what's happening in social mediums. Now I'm just going to share something with you. In Google Analytics, And if you don't have Google Analytics, this is about metrics, and I'd urge you to get it. I'm just going to show you something. We've put about 50 or 60 people through social media mastery now, and not one of them have ever had their social assets listed in Google Analytics. So I'm just going to show you very quickly how to do that. You go into your Google Analytics site and you go to your admin section, and hopefully your web developers have given you full access here, and you need to go to social settings and you need to list all of your social assets there, because Google need to know what belongs to you. So if you don't have that, I'd strongly suggest you do it so that Google can actually attribute those social assets to you. So that you can have that for nothing.
Well, that's brilliant, Meredith. I didn't know that, so I'm going to have to go into my Google Analytics and check it out.
Get yourself in there, Suzanne.
I will.
So we talked about what if those elusive customers can find you. So those customers can find you through great utilisation of the 5 pillars, but more importantly, they can access you through something that we call social proof or social credibility. And so what exactly is social proof? This slide says it all. Social proof is all about psychology, and basically the majority of the population, and that is, we're told more than 90% by psychologists and research and studies that have been done, will follow as opposed to lead. So when people don't know what to do, or they're making a buying decision, they will talk to others and get opinions on what road to take. We talk. That's quite simply, we do research and we talk it out. And nothing could be truer than for women, and then we go and influence our men folk. And the psychology of social proof can go one step further. And if you think about the psychology of eBay, and I'll tell you, my husband, I'm going to use the S word, my husband is an eBay slut. We have packages arriving constantly from eBay, but eBay is a classic for social proof because, and when I explain this in a presentation, people often sit back and say, yeah, I can see that she's right, and the whole psychology or the philosophy of it's kind of nuts, but it's how it works. We look for a product we haven't touched or felt. We source someone we don't know who has a product we haven't touched or seen in the flesh, and then based on feedback from people we don't know for a seller we've never met, we decide or not to bid or buy their products. And it's a fact that 80% of people will be happy to buy this way, so long as there are recommendations or testimonials from others. Even if we don't know them, social media becomes very, very powerful based on this very weird philosophy and psychology. And let's have a look at how this shows up in social media. So we can often see that friends of friends do, and there we go, there's the She Business page. I can see that 82 of my friends like that business. And this is how social proof shows up in social media. So I'd love to get a show of hands here. Who has ever liked a page on the basis that a friend either invites you or recommends that you like the page? And you like it. You go ahead and you like it really for no other reason that a friend suggested it to you. So has anybody ever done that? Just liked a page because a friend suggested it?
Loads of hands going up here, Meredith.
Yep.
Yeah, at least 70% of you are actually putting your hands up. So it's interesting, very interesting.
And that's social proof for you. And you know what, this is really cheeky, but this is something as well that, that we do look at in more depth, not here but in another forum, that if you want to do Facebook advertising, and Facebook's changing its algorithm constantly, which some of you may feel frustrated about, that you can actually advertise to friends of friends or to fans of another page. So for instance, we've recently been working with a fitness instructor, and she was able to actually advertise her program to fans of Michelle Bridges' page. So Facebook is really taking this psychology and philosophy to a whole new level. So let's have a look at how it shows up in LinkedIn. It shows up in connections. So if you actually go and have a look at, this is actually, I think it's Suzanne's page, in fact. You can start to see who we're connected to and where our connections are. And that's what that first and the second and the third, well, they're all first there. But these are connections that we have in common. So suddenly it starts to give Suzanne real social proof. Here's another way that it shows up in LinkedIn. There I am sitting at the top, and there's somebody that I'm in a women's business club with, Ada Poon, down the bottom, and it shows how closely we're actually connected. It's like that 1 degree of separation or 2 degrees of separation. And of course, endorsements. I don't give a huge rap to endorsements in LinkedIn, but this is how it shows up, that people have endorsed me, and you know, there's their faces. This is real. These are real people who have endorsed my skills or expertise. And so it gives me credibility in the marketplace, just like it gives you credibility in the marketplace when people do this for you. So that's our social proof and credibility, but we move on to video, and these are a couple of fantastic videos that businesses are using. We're told that by 2016, 90% of searches in Google will end up in a video being watched. So it's something that really you need to be considering. Dollar Shave Club, had high production values, but it was all filmed on location. And Suzanne, what's this guy's name again? Joel?
Oh, this guy is Joel Bauer.
That's it.
Yeah, and he's all about promotion, isn't he?
Yep, his video, production values are awful, the video moves around, but it is incredibly entertaining. So you can see that the 2 different levels of highly watched videos. And then, of course, if you want a real example, video social marketing is my business, obviously, and so I used video a lot in the early days. I kind of went off it because it all felt a bit hard. And I was inspired by Bronwyn Caspers from Trumpet Page, who was using video that she took on her phone. And she inspired me during the Social Media Mastery program. And so I went out and recorded 6 videos with clients, client testimonials, did a little tiny bit of post-production on them. I had 6 videos up on YouTube within an hour. So I urge you to start thinking about video, because it's never been easier, it's never been simpler. And when we're talking about testimonials, people are very, very willing to have not as fantastic production values, and you can check, if you want to have a look at those videos, you can get to my YouTube channel either by my website or mcollins50. Actually, Jacqueline Bates, that was my old TAFE login, mcollins50. That's how long ago I set up my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. Have a look at those, because you'll see that it's a very powerful way of getting attention. If you're talking about a front page video on your website, you probably need something with better production values, and I'd invest the money and have it done professionally and directed. But in terms of testimonials and, you know, product explanations and things that can be done on the fly, do not go past your iPad or your smartphone and either Movie Maker in Windows or iMovie on the Mac for producing some really great watchable content. So mobile and apps, on we move. Recent Smart Company research indicates that Australia has the highest mobile penetration out of these huge populations. And I know that I run a couple of mobile phones, and possibly you do too. You know, 68% of people with smartphones report researching products or services from their mobile devices. And all you've got to do is sit in a restaurant and watch all the people on their phones not talking to each other. They've got to be looking at something, whether it's Facebook or research. And certainly we research our phones all the time in this household. But interestingly enough, a lot of the people who are researching products and services actually purchase. They actually go through to a website and they purchase either a soft or a hard link. And a soft sales link is when somebody reads your blog or goes to your website. A hard sales link is when people actually download something, sign up for something, pay for something. Then of the remainder who actually went on to purchase, they actually came back to a desktop or face-to-face purchase, you know, in store. And I know that I certainly, if I'm actually going to go through a process where I've got to put in credit card details and stuff, it's easy to do it on my desktop or on a tablet. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But you need to be thinking about this. Oh, actually, you know, there's just one other thing that I'd like to, I'm just going to go back. One other thing that I'd really like you to think about with your mobile phone. If, you know, you need to be mobile enabled, your website has to be mobile enabled, and if when you go to your website on your mobile phone, you have to pinch, you know, that is put your fingers on the screen and pull them out or push around, like the pinch test. If you have to pinch to read your website, you are not mobile enabled. So I'd really like to ask the question there, whose website is truly mobile enabled? Whose website looks like you can actually read all the content, and it's almost like an app.
And I wonder if anyone's doing the same as me. I'm quickly typing in my website on my phone, see what happens. So
yeah, look,
it's
mine was mobile enabled last year when it was built, or like a couple of years ago when it was built, in that it would display on a website, but that is not mobile enabled anymore. There's a different expectation. If you want to have a look at a really great site that's mobile enabled, have a look at the Dendy cinemas. So look at it on a desktop computer and then look at it on your mobile.
Oh, I'm pleased to say mine's mobile enabled.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I must have done that at some point. But in fact, just looking at the hands, there's quite a few hands that have gone up as well.
Great.
To show that they're not mobile enabled. So, or what was the question, that you are, or that they're not?
That they are mobile enabled.
Well, actually, there's I've still got, because some people put their hands down straight away, but I've still got 3 hands up at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, you are in the minority, and well done. So now we come to the 4th pillar of digital. You know, and search engine optimization is very much considered to be a dark art. And SEO is all about being found online and gaining visibility, but also about how you meet search queries appropriately. So Carl Caston, who's our SEO expert, actually talks about a search acquisition strategy, and he takes a really unique approach. He actually says, talk to a really good SEO guy or girl before you get your website built, so that you can really build your website to the market's needs and to answer their queries. So it is a very, very complex area. I really urge you to find somebody with integrity. I hear terrible SEO stories often, and people spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on pay-per-click advertising, so Google searching. I'd really urge you to find somebody good. In Social Media Mastery, we go into a lot of keywords, how you can optimize your site, what we call organically, without paying. But SEO is a very, very specialized area, and if you want to talk to somebody who I know has huge integrity, please feel free to contact me. He's one of our partners, or he's one of my partners, and does present on Social Media Mastery, and will take you through the process of understanding Google a bit better. Not so that as an SME you can do the work, but so that you can have sensible conversations with your service provider and not wondering whether they're doing the right thing or not, because I think that that's always a real problem. But SEO is absolutely critical to being found in Google, and Google Analytics will also give you a clue as to how people are finding your website. So really, really have a look at that. The last thing is about metrics, and I'm not a numbers girl, but I've got to say I do get a bit excited about the numbers. And here we go. This is Google Analytics, and oh, look, here we go. This is fortuitous. We've got right here. We've got this will tell you down here where it says mobile including tablet, kind of down towards the bottom of the page. That will tell you how many people are searching for your website on a mobile device. So that may provide some urgency for you as to whether you need to get that website mobile enabled faster or not. Google Analytics is incredibly powerful. We use it a lot in Social Media Mastery because we need to know if your social media is converting for you. So if you haven't got Google Analytics, or you haven't got access to Google Analytics, which should be sitting at the back of your website, I'd urge you to do that. If you don't know, Suzanne, can I just show everyone how to find Google Analytics?
Yeah, sure. I think it would be really useful.
Okay, so I'm just going to duck out to, here we go, here's my website. So I'm in Firefox, so it might be a little bit different. If you don't know if you've got Google Analytics, find out. And I'm going to say this, I'm just going to be really contentious. If your web developer has not put analytics on your website, I view them as being professionally negligent. Because what's the point if you don't know what's happening on your website? So if you want to find out if your website's got Google Analytics, this is the process to go through. You right-click on the side of the website and you say View Page Source. Then you're going to get all this gobbledygook, and we hate this gobbledygook when if we're not techie. We're going to go up to Edit and we're going to go up to Find. Now the little Find box comes up here. Now Google Analytics has a particular code and it's UA and then a little dash. That dash is important, and you can see here, Suzanne, can I do the drawing tool? I'm going to try. Here it is here.
That's it, perfect.
So that means that you've got Google Analytics, and but if you don't have access to it, make sure you get it, because you need to be having a look at what's happening on your website. And certainly when we take clients right through this process of understanding what's happening, and they actually get excited about it, as do I. Okay, so I'm just going to erase all my drawings, and I'm going to, oops, and I'm going to go back to the normal non-drawing mode. Okay,
and I've
so
just,
that's
sorry,
yep.
Han, I've just actually typed those instructions in for you into the chat box. So if you look at your chat box, you'll see it. Just copy and paste it, put it somewhere so that you remember how to do it.
You're so good.
Oh, well,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you. So here we can, and here's a little bit more about Google Analytics, where we can actually see where our traffic sources are coming from. And you can see there that I've set up different links so that I can work out what different clicks are. But you can see number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 8 are all social media driving traffic to my website. So suddenly I can start to see whether social media is actually driving leads back to me or not. So it becomes a very critical part of knowing whether your social media is working for you and honing your efforts. Because if you're spending time faffing about on Twitter and you never get a single link back or never anybody click through, then don't do it, is what I say. Don't waste your time there. But you know that you're getting 50 hits a month from Facebook, then spend your time there. Clout is another, Clout's one of those interesting things. That measures influence, and I don't put a whole lot of credence or credibility in a program like Clout from the point of view of, it's really important to have a high Clout score, but what I do say is it's a great way to benchmark your social media efforts and your digital presence, because what happens when people commit for the 120 days to kind of make an effort and say, I'm going to spend 2 hours a week and I'm going to get really focused and I'm going to be productive, what will happen is if their Clout score is 22 when they start, at the end of 120 days, sometimes it's up to 50. So it actually just kind of helps you to measure your progress. So these are tools that you can use if you decide you're going to put yourself on a program. Tweet reach, exactly the same. If you're using it's a great way just to have a look at how your proliferation is happening and whether you're actually infiltrating the internet more effectively. So tweet reach is another thing that you can use, and these are free tools that you can tap into. Facebook, oh my gosh, Facebook is it's such a changing beast. If you want a medium that's not changing all the time, that you want is fairly static, go with Twitter, blogging, YouTube, and LinkedIn, because Facebook's changing all the time, but Facebook can be really responsible for driving huge amounts of traffic. And it's really important that if you are using Facebook, that you don't have to understand these numbers in a really in-depth way, but be able to interpret some of the results. And you can see there, the 8th of the 8th of August, discover the 4 keys of social media marketing success. That post reached 1,500 people, and I paid $30 for that. But you know what? That's a pretty cheap marketing initiative. So it's about working out what's happening in your market, how you get visibility, And these kind of stats can support you in doing that. So we need to move really fast here. So your social strategy, you know, lots of people's social strategy looks like this, and it's a shocker. So I just share with me if your social strategy lives in your head like this, because, you know, I know that's how it lived in my head before I documented it. Being disorganised and in disarray is as damaging to your brand as not being found. So many clients have no strategy. The strategy lives in their head. And actually, that's a polling question. So let's go with that, Suzanne. Let's get that polling question up.
Okay.
And see how people are sitting with their social media strategy.
Okay, so the poll questions come up on the screen. If you would be kind enough to click on one of those options for us so that we could get a feel for what your social strategy is. Excellent. I've got 60% of you have clicked. That's lovely. Thank you so much for participating. It's really great that we have this. Just a few more clicks I'm waiting for. Okay, so just to give you the feedback on that, we've got 5% no social strategy. You have what the highest percent you can see there is that you've got the strategy and it lives in the head.
Then it's probably looking like that map.
Yeah, probably, yeah. And no wonder you don't sleep. Yeah. And then some 5% have got a strategy documented, and 15% have a strategy that is well planned and executed. So well done.
Wow. Well, 20% of you are 20% of you are high achievers, clearly, and the rest of you are completely normal when it comes to your social media strategy. And we teach what we need to learn, don't we? Because it took me ages to actually document a social strategy, and it's amazing how it works when you do that. So, you know what, if it's really important that no matter what your social strategy is, that you get very clear on your purpose, your value, your customer service. You know, are you using it for connection, for promotion? And then what we say to clients, what I say to clients all the time is, you know what, sometimes we just need to go back to the baby slope. Sometimes we just need to pick one or two and really drive it and have a look at the results, test and measure all the time. Get consistent, get your content running, get your communication strategy clear, build a community and have a calendar, and just get it back to basics. You don't have to be everywhere, because you know what, it can all end up like this. And it can be just as damaging to your brand to be out there in a mess as it can be to not being able to be found. So, but you have got to earn the right to sell or to really promote your products through adding outstanding value in that treasure. So all those C's that we talked about earlier. So you've told us, and we know that many of you are feeling overwhelmed or maybe underwhelmed by social media. So if we've got people online at the moment, I'd love it, just click that hand about how you're feeling about social media and what you're supposed to do. Who's feeling overwhelmed? Have we got many hands going up there, Suze?
We have indeed, yeah. We've got,
Yep.
I would say, still coming up, I would say probably about 40% actually. 40% of you are feeling overwhelmed. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
And that's really normal. It's really normal. You've told us you're overwhelmed by how to run your social media. People have told us prior to this webinar that you're not getting any real or tangible results that you can measure, and you're frustrated. We also have been told that you feel inefficient and you're feeling like you're wasting time. And you are citing exactly the same issues that most businesses are experiencing. Not just small businesses and micro businesses, but big businesses too. This is what they're saying, that they just are overwhelmed by it. So we do have a solution, and it comes in the form of social media mastery. And Jen Harwood is a business coach, author and speaker, and many of you may know her. She's been around the traps and she's bloody good at what she does, and she gets a lot of press. And you know what, she was just like a lot of you. She had connections everywhere, but she had no idea what to do with them or how to drive forward. And you can read for yourself what she says. But if you want more information on sort of before and afters, you're really welcome to have a look at the YouTube channel. But Jen was incredibly excited. So what we'd really like to share with you today is what Social Media Mastery is about. So we cover everything that we've covered today and much, much more. We have a session that is a full-day strategy session. It includes an audit, setting goals, hands-on opportunities to use measurement tools, and we sit around the table with a small group of people. We generally don't run with any more than 10 businesses because it is really important that you have that personalised service. But you know what, you'll get 10 times the ideas for a tenth of the cost. You know, in session 2, we go into search engine optimization and use Google Keyword Tool, and we educate you with that. In session 3, we actually go through your natural strengths and talents. So we debrief talent dynamics, and I can tell you that we have changed people's lives and perceptions through doing that, and Suzanne would attest to that. We also have an implementation fest. And in session 4, we go through apps and mobile sites and Facebook advertising for business success. And even if your business is not ripe to use a Facebook page, do not discount Facebook advertising as a strategy that you can use, because it can be very, very powerful and very targeted. So this, we value this at $5,597, and our published price is $19.95, but we actually would like to offer this to you guys for $15.95 for the full 120 days. So included in this, we will give you 2 mentoring sessions with me personally. So that's not face-to-face rather, but 2 mentoring, individual is what I meant to say. We will give you 2 mentoring sessions. We give you a mentoring session with the search engine optimization expert, Carl Caston, and he'll go over your site and he'll tell you what you need to know to improve your site and support you with your service provider. We'll give you what we call quick reference guides, fast action checklists, manuals to support every session, and information on all the main social platforms. And you know, these resources have been developed off the back of the Talent Dynamics Strengths Profiling Test, so it doesn't matter what your profile is, you get the resources that support your learning style and your strengths. So whether it's checklists or information at a glance, you get them. We'll give you full talent dynamics profiling, and we'll give you the templates for tracking, measuring and reporting on your social media. So if you're one of the first 5 people to register today, we will also give you additional bonuses of, let's have a look, let's bring these up. Oh, that's right. Oh, gosh, I forgot about that. We're going to give you another token to either profile your spouse or a staff member. That's exciting. So you can actually get somebody in your office profile as well if you've got someone working with you, or do it with your spouse. It might explain a lot of problems. I was going to say a lot of problems. It might explain a lot of what goes on in households. Oh, Suzanne, you stuck that in.
I did.
Tell us about that.
I did. I snuck that one in because I was so delighted at the response that we got, and so many of you have turned up today. I'd like to also add to this, no extra cost, the Webinar Presenters Academy videos. That's what I do. That's my expertise. I teach people how to do these webinars, going right from creation to marketing to presenting, and all of those webinars fulfill whatever objective you've got, whether it's to sell product, whether it's to just engage with your audience, coaching, training, or to actually build product. And I've got 7 free videos that I'm going to give you so that you understand the technology of how to use GoToWebinar with our compliments just for coming along.
That's very generous, because I actually was I was stalking you online this morning, Suzanne, and I saw that you are one of the world's experts on GoToWebinar.
Indeed, indeed I am, and there's
You're
few.
very humble. You don't talk about that very much.
Not too much, no.
Well, there you go. So look, yeah, and you know what? I don't want to know how to run webinars, so I'm very happy that Suzanne did it, and you did such a good job. So you've inspired me, and but of course we'll give you $400 off the published price of Social Media Mastery. If you check the website, it's there for $19.95. So our next program starts the 17th of September. It is based in Sydney, but we've had very dedicated people fly up from Canberra. I've had somebody come down from Brisbane, so it is possible. Or I'll tell you what, if you want to get 6 or 7 bottoms on a seat somewhere else, you can have it for nothing, and I'll come to you. That's even. I love getting on planes. So that's our offer to you, and I can assure you that if you do not get any value out of the first session, I've never had anyone take me up on this offer, thank goodness, but if you get out of the first strategy session and you say, you know what, that was of no value, you can have your money back. I absolutely don't want to work with people that aren't unhappy or feel that they haven't got value, and that absolutely hasn't been the case. I usually talk to most clients beforehand and make sure that they're right, but if you know that you're right and you feel frustrated with what's happening in social media and that you want to change your results, then I am more than happy to take you through that process and really change the results, and you get me, you get lots of me, and I love working with clients and seeing their results change. So there'll be lots of bonuses for you. So we'd love to have you on board. I'm really actually thrilled at that webinar, the webinar offer that Suzanne's made. That's huge value. What's that valued at, Suzanne?
Oh, actually, that's valued at $4.97. It's it's a recording of an online live course that I did recently. Right. So that one's at $4.97. Yeah. So extra bonus.
That's a great bonus. But I think that. And don't dismiss webinars for your own business. Whether you decide to go ahead with social media mastery or not, do not dismiss it, because it gives you the opportunity to really create products, to leverage your time and effort. And one of the things that Talent Dynamics really focuses on, and we will do this in the debrief, is the value you offer the marketplace and the leverage you have, because successful businesses have both value and leverage. But we're right on 1:30, but Suzanne and I are more. Oh, Suzanne, I'm speaking for you now. We're more than happy to stay online and answer any questions. So if you want to type questions into the chat box, or if you just know that you want to get out and register to be with us, then you'll receive your tokens and things today.
Excellent.
I'll send those out this afternoon.
Well, just to let everybody know, I've sent through the link so that you can actually either go for the full payment today or actually opt for the part payment. So you've got both of those links. We want to make it as simple for you as possible. Once you've done that, like Meredith says, you'll get all the information that you need, your tokens and everything else. And I just want to say we've got a few people that have already said, yes, I'm in. So that's great. Well, thank you. Yeah, we're delighted. Thank you very much. And also, I've got a lovely message here from Lorraine. Lorraine actually says, as Molly Meldrum would say, do yourself a favour. I have started this course and it's amazing, worth every cent. So thank you, Lorraine. Oh, great. And Jacqueline's already booked. She's in. Fantastic.
And then Jacqueline Bates from TAFE.
Yes.
My geeky girlfriend.
Your geeky
from
girlfriend.
The Flexible Learning Leaders. Oh my goodness, that's exciting.
Indeed, I know. That's terrific. So listen, we know that we've reached the top of the hour. So we're going to hang on for a few minutes. If you've got any burning questions, please ask them. And I do actually have some questions already for you, Meredith. Let's see. Okay, just bear with me a second. Just going through. Okay, great question here. How can you find out what branch of social media you should use for your business?
That's a really good question. I generally talk people through the process. I don't think there's any there's no particular checklist. Suzanne, you could create one, I'm sure. There's no checklist that actually kind of spits out the answer to you. So the things that we need to be looking at is, are you business to business or are you business to consumer? Does your business have a naturally very social aspect? So, if you're a golf store, for instance, that's a very social aspect. Even if you're a child's pediatrician, there's quite a social aspect to that, because mums are very social and they're online looking for stuff. Whereas if you're a very technical, hardware-driven type business, for instance, then Facebook might not be the place for you. So if whoever's asked that question, if you would like to email me, and I'm happy to do a bit of a consult with you over the phone. I'll just do a complimentary consult as part of this process and have a chat to you, and we'll see if we can kind of determine what it is, what your business is, and how we can, and where I think you should be playing socially. Does that help?
Yeah, I think so. So put your hand up for us if that gives you the answer that you need. Just check in. Okay, cool. I've got a couple more questions that have come up. Meredith, are you okay to answer them?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so I've got, how do I find the time to do everything I need in social media? Posting, tweeting, blogging?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's one of the things that we really look at hard in social media mastery. There's little tricks and tips that you can do depending on what your strengths are. So for some people, they might write down, get 20 posts in a row organised, and then we schedule them through Facebook Scheduler. Same with Twitter, if you can come up with a number of different tweets that we can schedule them. You can't totally rely on scheduled posts going out, but even in things like WordPress you can schedule posts. So it really depends on how you work. So for instance, for me, I really like on-the-fly type content, so I'm much better taking snapshots with my phone and posting on the fly. Other people are going to be much more structured, but I would really recommend that unless social media is paying you huge dividends, treat it as a marketing activity and probably allocate, no more than a couple of hours a week to it. If you're spending, and then measure it. Or, don't do everything. Have a look at what's paying. How is Facebook paying? Is Facebook driving the most leads to the website? Is Twitter driving the most leads? Get rid of the stuff that's not working. Are you leveraging your blog and your newsletter? If you're doing that, then great. That's a great opportunity for you to get some traction online. But if it's not working for you, if it's not bringing any traffic, don't do it. So this is all the sort of stuff that we really drill down into in great detail and give you the mechanics of it. But you know what? If you don't have enough time, you need to get really clear on what's working and what's not so that you can get rid of the stuff that's not. Absolutely. And if it is working for you, then it's not a problem.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a few people here. Ian, thank you very much for your lovely comment there. It's a big thank you to us both for a great webinar, and he'll be in touch. And really, thank you so much for coming onto the webinar. And also Melinda saying thank you, Meredith and Suzanne. As I finally embark on developing my website, this webinar has been most beneficial and enjoyable. You're more than welcome, Melinda.
I think really that might be Melinda Petrie.
Yes, it is.
If that is Melinda Petrie, she is the most awesome writer for, what do you call it when you're applying for awards and stuff?
Oh,
what do
I
you,
don't know.
like submissions. She does awesome submissions. If you want a great person to write fantastic submissions and win you awards, Melinda Petrie is the woman.
Lovely, lovely, and lots of other thank yous coming through, and I just want to extend that back to those of you that are still here. Thank you very much for coming on to the webinar, and if there's no more questions, just give you a couple more seconds. We're going to close the webinar down. If you've got any questions at all, just email Meredith, and Meredith's email has come through at the top there. That will be about the social media mastery. We do have a question here, 19th of September session in Sydney, is it?
17th, isn't it 17th of September?
Just go back on your slides.
I know, it would be so helpful if I was an administrator.
But you're not. You need someone else to do it.
I do. That's right, because that's not where my strengths lie. 17th of September.
17th. Yep. There you go.
So, yep.
Right. Excellent.
It's a Tuesday.
Fab. And I've put my email there as well, so if you've got any questions specifically about webinars, then please contact me. You'll get an email through after this webinar just to give you the details, and also to provide you with your free gift, which is the checklist, what do you call it?
It's the benchmarking. It's the benchmarking and measurement spreadsheet.
Yes.
There's 3 spreadsheets that we have, and it's the one that keeps you on track to see and measuring what you're doing.
So that'll help you. Let me see, Karen, are you still online? Hold on. I tell you what, Karen's gone now, but she did actually ask if you could repeat to check the analytics, to check that the social pages are on your analytics. But what we'll do is, because Karen's gone now, we'll actually email her and send that through. In fact, we'll email everybody so that they can check it.
Okay.
All right then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if I Suzanne, if I once we get this recording, can we send it out in the newsletter as well, so that if people want to share it, they can? Or can they share the recording?
Yeah, we'll make a way of you being able to share it, definitely. And Catherine, yes, awesome. We will have the recording. Everybody here will receive that recording one way or another, and yeah, we'll make it so that people can share it. Fantastic. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Meredith, you've been a brilliant guest. I've loved running this webinar with you. It's been absolutely super, and thank you very much for your expertise here.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Okay, guys, have a great social media mastery month.
Yay! We'll see you all soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.